live. Just hit go live. We're not even waiting. Site42 staff, SCP Foundation staff, do you read us? Our tech has been glitching all night long, but it seems like we are finally going live. Please, I see your rips in the chat. I see your RIP, but hopefully we're not dead. Please give me a sign you can hear us. We are in a desperate situation, in another reality, anomalously broadcasting. Hey, it looks like we're on live. Signals are digitizing. Please make sure to like, share, and subscribe to this stream using your encrypted YouTube account that the Foundation assigned to you. I'm talking to you, Steve. God, every time, more amnestics wasted. So, with no further ado, because the tech is finally working, 3, 2, 1... Hey there, Site42 fam. This is Dr. Theron Sherman, but you can call me Sherm. Welcome to another anomalous broadcast from Site42. For anybody unfamiliar with the rundown of the show, the quick explanation is, number 1, we pick an SCP article or tale or group of interest or something from the SCP Wiki to read, usually with the author for interviewing purposes and behind the scenes, and that will constitute the letter B, discussion period that takes place after the reading. If you enjoy the show, make sure to like, share, and subscribe and all that YouTube business. Make sure in the description you check out the Teespring store for Site42 because we released a new design this week. We are self-sponsoring with the SCP-682 Researchers Only Care About One Thing, and it's disgusting design, which was commissioned from Rat Scrap on Tumblr. I would throw up an image for you, but this stream is already technically glitchy, and I'm just not going to risk it. So go check it out at the store if you're interested. But, so we can get this show going, tonight we are reading the sequel tale to SCP-4051. This is titled The Beast Beneath the Library, written by author Nagiros, who is joining us tonight. So let me bring them on in 3, 2, 1. Unmute the video, unmute the audio. Hey, Nagi, how you doing tonight?
Hey, I'm doing well. I'm glad we can persist despite the technical difficulties here.
Thank 5320 for that. All right. Do you have any pre-show dish you want to give us about The Beast Beneath the Library before we dive into it?
Yeah, since it's been 2 weeks, we had to skip over the last one because of scheduling stuff. Do you mind if we do like a tiny micro recap of 4051 itself?
I would absolutely adore that.
Yeah. So how it goes, 4051, small child. I say child, he's a teenager. He can make portals, and from them he can pull out small objects. That's what it amounts to. He's contained by the Foundation, and they think to themselves, this might be a good opportunity to produce the active chemical in amnestics. They're doing all these sorts of top secret research stuff on him. In the meantime, he's seeing a therapist about his emotional issues, and we sort of ended the article on a bit of a cliffhanger. Honestly, the testing had gotten worse and more redacted as things had gone on, and then there was a big addendum that said you had insufficient clearance to view it, and then a link to this supplement, which we'll be reading tonight.
All right. Very cool. We're going to be doing this on screen because we have logins and pretty visual details. And so without any further ado, let's take this over here so I can see the reading. And here we go. The Beast Beneath the Library on screen right now. It's weirdly in the middle of my screen. Let me move that. Okay, you can see everything now. Let me pull it up so I can actually see it. And Nagi will be reading a certain amount of characters, and I will be covering the rest, so I believe I'm starting us off, right?
Right, gotcha.
The Beast
one
Beneath the...
moment. Chat's saying they're hearing an echo from me, and I don't doubt that. Let me put on a set of headphones or something.
Sounds good. And let me make a small adjustment on my end as well and see if I can help.
Let's see if this works. Oh, hey, I can actually put the stuff over my OO hat. Nice. Anyways, yes, perfect. I'm good to go.
All right, let's chick. Let me see if I can lower the volume of my monitor and see if that helps with the echo. because I don't need you very loud.
Mhm,
Sound
I
check,
gotcha.
sound check. Go ahead, say a couple words, Nagi.
Yep, testing, speaking right now.
All right, hopefully that works. Otherwise, I apologize, chat. We are running late because OBS went through an update this weekend and changed a bunch of settings on me. So we're dealing with it the best we can. I will hopefully get to fix this in the next week. The Beast Beneath the Library contains themes of abuse and institutional gaslighting.
Yeah, same sort of content warning as 4051 had. So,
Memo to the Office of the Site-17 Director. From Dr. Yezenia, assigned to SCP-4051 as an on-site therapist. Graham, it's been some time since I've received a formal update from you regarding SCP-4051. Despite my best efforts to acquire anything of substance related to the work of Dr. Edwards is doing on... Acquire anything of substance related to the work Dr. Edwards is doing on him, all my attempts have led to failure. I am not asking for a higher clearance level. I am attempting to provide you with some advice. I have my suspicions about the nature of Project 350 Giannis and what you're trying to accomplish, but whatever it is, it's evidently important to your superiors. Due to the time it has taken to develop the project, I can only imagine that you're receiving significant pushback from them. Although I cannot help with the development of the project, I have a proposal for you. SCP-4051 has a remarkable desire to help. His aid in site maintenance has doubtlessly alleviated some of your financial concerns, and he has proven to be resourceful as well as capable and eager to help the Foundation. If you want to get your superiors off your back, I'd recommend showing them these traits. Explain Raynor to them in a way they'll understand. Prove he is a valuable asset to Site-17 by having him engage in the recovery of a low-threat anomaly. Raynor's ability grants him a versatility that humans do not possess. If you throw him underwater, he can create a breathing apparatus at will. If a member of his team is wounded, he can provide immediate medical support. I want to be clear here. As someone with a connection with him, I have a certain bias. I want him to be freer, happier. But consider the idea that allowing him to support the Foundation in a more active role will be advantageous to you, the Foundation at large, and the people giving Dr. Edwards the money he needs to continue his experimentation. All right, next section. SkipNet login. T. Grams. Site-17. Password. Log in. Beep, boop, beep. Joint Mobile Task Force Retrieval, P7S3. Date, June 18th, 2013, 1500 hours. Pre-mission report. A 6-person team comprised of 4 members of Mobile Task Force Psi-7, codename Home Improvement. 1 member of Mobile Task Force Sigma-3, codename Bibliographers. And SCP-4051 will investigate the site of confirmed anomalous activity, a building located in Chicago, Illinois. The building has 2 underground sublevels and is suspected of being an abandoned nexus for interdimensional travel. A Class S slow burn amnestic has been administered to SCP-4051. Footnote, used in situations where operatives without sufficient clearance require knowledge of classified materials for a period of time, and administration of an amnestic after such a period may not be possible. The drug administered to SCP-4051 was designed to activate after 2 hours, at which all memories between administration and activation would be forgotten. Neat. Has been administered to SCP-4051, who has been supplied with standard exploration gear and a gun loaded with rubber bullets. SCP-4051 has been granted limited membership to Mobile Task Force Psi-7 for the ease of documentation, and will be referred to as P7 Raynor. Begin log.
I'm doing Charlie, Jayla, and Raynor. I think are my characters that I did. So, begin log. Charlie says, "Mic check. Everybody call in." I hear you.
Same on my end. Radio's good.
Good over here.
Resident type blue present. We heading in now? Affirmative. Team enters the structure via a back door into the unfurnished concrete room.
Command, we have some graffiti on the walls here.
Noted. Filters aren't catching any memetics, so you should be fine. There are some thaumaturgical symbols here. Looks like variations on, well, they should be misdirecting and hiding something.
So there could be something in this room we can't see?
Command, are you guys catching anything like that? Negative, Morgan. Okay, then the symbols are probably meant for people passing by on the building on the street. They're not hiding it from view, more making it unremarkable.
Command, this room is clear. Entering the next one.
Understood. Team enters the adjacent room. The room has more garbage on the floor than the last.
Morgan, anything different with the graffiti here?
Not that I can see. More runes to misdirect the unsuspecting. The team searches the items on the floor for 2 minutes.
This room seems clear. Our anomaly should be on another floor. Hey, I read the file report, but what exactly are we supposed to be looking for?
The reports we got suggest this place has some extra-dimensional abnormality. We'll be getting close when the symbols on the wall start changing.
All right, team. Moving out now. Morgan, let us know if you see anything.
Team enters a stairwell and begins traveling downwards. Morgan pauses. New symbols. That one up ahead has a serif that imbues it with the power to harm.
Meaning?
The people who were using this building didn't want the uninvited to enter, so they set up defensive mechanisms on the walls to discourage non-magic users. Let's see. There should be some prerequisite... Right. The one up ahead means potential.
Oh, that's what the hand calls magical capability, right?
Yeah, although... Did they give you the same pre-mission materials as us?
I think so. They gave me an amnestic and told me after 2 hours I wouldn't remember anything I'd read. Morgan, how should we proceed?
Go ahead and blow out the sections of the walls with the runes. They were probably just trying to keep homeless people and teenagers out of here.
All right, Jayla, get...
Charlie, can you hear me?
I do. Do you advise against using incendiaries?
Let Raynor assist in detonation. We're using this mission as a sort of trial run.
Right. Raynor, manifest 2 charges. We'll attach and detonate them.
P7 Raynor complies and the team detonates the charges. Hey, Jayla, this kid keeps it up and you'll be out of a job. You all should be able to proceed now. Team enters the first sublevel. The room they enter has less graffiti on the walls, although more thaumaturgical symbols are present.
Morgan, what are we looking at?
A bunch of enhancement runes. One of those makes materials harder to break. Another boosts perception. Another makes you move faster. Anyone feeling those effects? Negative.
Not me. Nope. Nope.
Not that I can feel. The serifs over the runes seem to mean it's targeting a specific entity or type of entity. Did the reports say anything about this place besides the symbols visible from the outside and the homeless guy talking about going to the other dimension?
No, they didn't. Command, did you read anything with a thermal scan of the building?
Negative.
Jayla, clear this room for us. We'll scout the adjacent rooms and determine if there's another entity here. Oh, that's me. Is the kid staying with me? He's coming with us. Graham probably wants us to test how he does under pressure.
P7 Jayla remains in the room while the rest of the team clears the remaining rooms on the floor. Extraneous 10 minutes of dialogue removed from transcript. P7 Rico enters the final room, which has a frameless mirror leaning against the back wall. Hey, got something here, boss.
Command, Rico found a mirror that seems mostly intact.
You have permission to engage and determine if it's anomalous.
Understood.
P7 Charlie presses a hand against the glass. His reflection is seen to stare directly at him, while P7 Charlie is directly observing the surface he is touching. P7 Charlie unexpectedly applies pressure to the mirror, and his reflection is observed to buckle its arm with a surprised expression before walking out of view. Well, fuck that.
Command, we have a confirmed anomalous object. Is this the portal we're looking for?
That's not likely. Continue to the second sublevel.
Understood. Jayla, we're coming back to you and entering the next floor. Understood.
Team regroups and enters the staircase. Sounds of an unknown entity shuffling on the second sublevel are heard from the staircase. Team halts.
Command, advise.
Proceed.
Everyone, weapons ready. Raynor, get in the back.
P7 Charlie enters the second sublevel from the stairwell and performs a visual scan of the room. No entity is confirmed, although detection is made difficult due to the darkness. The walls and floor are free of graffiti and litter. P7 Charlie signals for the rest of the team to proceed and activate their shoulder-mounted lights. The team approaches the only doorway, and a loud screech is heard before a creature travels extremely quickly past the doorway from the adjacent hallway. The creature is approximately 1 meter in height, 2 meters in length, and resembles an arachnid. The head of the creature is ostensibly a hairless humanoid, disregarding the lack of discernible eyes or comparable organs. The team retreats to the entrance of the stairwell.
Morgan, what's the likelihood that those runes upstairs apply to that thing?
Very high. Its speed, perception, and durability have been augmented. Define durability. Physical force won't do much to damage it. That means bullets are essentially useless. Hell yeah.
Command, did the report say that this floor is just this room, a hallway, and a large central room?
That should be the case.
Well, our goal is to get to that central room. There should be an entrance in the hallway, so we need to find a way to clear out the spiders. Trevor, you want to help with that?
You know I do. The team enters the hallway, with P7 Rico observing the south end of the hallway for hostile entities, while P7 Charlie observes the north end. Turns to the east are visible in both directions at the ends of the hallway. Got it, okay. The team proceeds to the north for approximately 5 meters before P7 Rico sights an entity turning from the eastern hall and proceeding towards them. Trevor, we got one in my direction, coming in fast. P7 Trevor turns toward the entity and uses his supplied flamethrower. The entity is engulfed in flame and emits a loud shriek before the flames abate, revealing its charred corpse. Several shrieks are also heard from elsewhere in the building, along with rapid shuffling, converging on the team's location.
Shit, Trevor, cover that end. We'll slow ours down with bullets. Raynor, use your flamethrower and cover us on this end while we move down the hallway. Understood.
The team moves north and is met with resistance by the entities. 3 approach from the south towards P7 Trevor and are promptly dispatched. 2 approach from the north and are incapacitated by P7 Raynor after P7 Charlie, P7 Jayla, and S3 Morgan deter the entities with conventional firearms. The team turns at the corner and dispatch 5 more entities before coming to an entrance to the central room. The walls of the room are covered in thaumaturgical symbols, and a large circular pattern of unidentified red liquid is present on the floor. Shit, did we kill them all? I was just starting to have some fun.
Trevor, quiet.
P7 Charlie's shoulder-mounted light illuminates a child huddled in the corner of the room. It appears to be a female and clothed in a thin white dress. I agree with Morgan when they say, shit.
Command, did the report mention anything about cult activity in this building?
Negative.
May I approach? Go ahead.
P7 Jayla switches off her shoulder-mounted light and approaches the child, lowering herself to be eye-to-eye with it. The child appears to have various injuries and cuts on its arms and legs.
Hey, you alright?
The child does not respond, but raises its head to look at P7 Jayla.
Do you know how you got here?
I was in a library.
Oh, where?
A faraway place, and yet so close. Charlie, just a reminder that this is definitely some demon shit. I was cast out, kept a prisoner from knowledge, left to lurk in the darkened places beneath those holy shelves. The child begins to stand, but is stopped by P7 Jayla when she aims her firearm at the child's forehead.
I wouldn't do that if I were you, sweetie.
You cannot harm me more than they did. Even if your bullets could pierce me, it would be nothing compared to the agony I felt underneath the stone.
Jayla, take the shot.
P7 Jayla fires a single round at the child's forehead. It stumbles back before emitting a screech, and its body begins to be disfigured as it transforms into an arachnid, similar to the entities encountered previously. Its new form measures roughly 5 meters in length and height. P7 Jayla is consequently knocked back and pinned beneath it as it writhes on the ground.
Shit, get it off me.
The team engages with the entity for roughly 10 seconds as it regains its balance. Bullets have little effect, and the flames produced by P7 Trevor and P7 Rainer appear to cause pain, but do not deter the entity. It lifts itself up and uses its mouth to grab hold of P7 Jayla's right leg, breaking it in the process. It drags P7 Jayla to the center of the circular pattern and begins to mutilate her legs, causing P7 Jayla to lose consciousness. At this time, the thaumaturgical symbols present on the walls are seen to glow softly, and the floor contained by the circular pattern begins to dematerialize. After 5 seconds, the floor becomes a portal into an unknown location, with dirty brick walls and floor of a tunnel visible. P7 Jayla and the entity fall through the portal. Shit! Jayla! We got company! 20 smaller arachnid entities emerge from the hallway behind the team. Despite P7 Trevor's usage of his flamethrower and S3 Morgan's usage of their thaumaturgical ability, incapacitating 10 of the 20 arachnids, the team is overwhelmed. S3 Morgan and P7 Trevor and P7 Charlie and P7 Rico are dragged by 5 of the entities into the portal, and P7 Rainer successfully terminates the remaining 5 with his makeshift flamethrower. At this time, Psych Command's connection with the rest of the team is intermittently lost and reestablished. Rainer, can you hear me?
I can. Shit, what the hell?
How were you able to terminate the remaining entities without aid?
I memorized the symbols that we saw upstairs, and then I manifested a few strips of tape with the symbols inscribed on them and put them on my suit. So, speed, perception, misdirection. What was the other one?
Rainer, is the portal still open?
Yeah, it is. I'm seeing a brick tunnel. It's real dark down there.
Abort the mission. Return to the back door of the building immediately and wait for retrieval.
Do I have to?
Yes, you have to. Failure to comply will result in...
Listen, I'm going in. That's what a hero does, right? He disobeys his superiors to save the day.
Disobedience will almost certainly mean that you'll never be selected for another mission.
I know, but they can't have gone far. At the very least, I can try to explore that other place for you guys.
Psych Command's connection with P7 Rainer is lost as he enters the portal. A support team composed of additional members from Mobile Task Force Psi-7 is requested for retrieval. Connection is reestablished after 30 seconds. P7 Rainer is seen running down the brick tunnel, using his shoulder-mounted light to illuminate the area in front of him. Connection reestablished. Rainer, where are you?
One of them is up ahead. I can hear it dragging. Shit, is that Morgan? Hey!
P7 Rainer's shoulder-mounted light illuminates an Aleph Order semi-physical entity. Yes, please, footnote.
You don't have to read that whole footnote. Don't worry about it. It's not relevant.
Okay. Lifting S3 Morgan and pushing them against the wall of the tunnel. S3 Morgan's body appears to be merging with the brick structure of the wall, causing them extreme pain, but they are unable to vocalize it for unknown reasons. 2 halves of the corpse of an arachnid entity are present farther down the tunnel. P7 Rainer removes his provided firearm and fires 5 rounds at the entity. None of the bullets appear to strike the entity. Typo. Although 3 pass through the space it occupies.
Oh.
The entity turns its head from S3 Morgan and approaches P7 Rainer, leaving S3 Morgan suspended inside the wall. P7 Rainer manifests fire and aims the flamethrower towards the entity, who does not appear burned but recoils regardless. Its form appears to be disrupted by the light from the flames.
Morgan, close your eyes.
S3 Morgan is unable to respond but shuts their eyes, turning their head away from P7 Rainer. P7 Rainer manifests another object, creating a bright flash in the tunnel and temporarily disabling video. After the effects of the flash abate, the entity is not observed and is presumed to have either demanifested or been terminated. Video has been reestablished.
Sorry, that's...
Command? Morgan, can you extricate yourself from the wall? Fuck no! It's like my arm and the wall are the same thing. Psych Command discusses options for S3 Morgan's retrieval as P7 Rainer gives medical attention to their other injuries. Morgan, would you consent to removing an arm entirely? Over what? Waiting for another team to get here? Fuck that.
Do you want me to do the procedure?
Manifest a laser and test it on the arachnid corpse near you. P7 Rainer complies. The manifested portal produces a bright red beam that cleaves the flesh of the arachnid and immediately cauterizes the inflicted wound.
Right. This should be quick. Do you want something to...
Go ahead and do it. I'll be fine. P7 Rainer again manifests the laser and successfully detaches S3 Morgan's arm from their shoulder. The shoulder is cauterized, and S3 Morgan expresses extreme pain. Rainer, manifest painkillers, the variety referenced in your pre-mission materials preferably. P7 Rainer complies and administers the painkillers to S3 Morgan. S3 Morgan vocalizes extreme discomfort and pain for another 60 seconds. Jesus! Ugh. Okay, it's better now.
Do you have any other injuries?
Honestly, after that, I don't think anything's going to feel painful again.
All right. Do you want to leave and re-enter the building through the portal or continue down the tunnel?
Command, are you sending in a rescue team? The team has been assembled and is currently en route to the building. It would cut down on potential complications if you would. Great. Tell them Rainer and I are going further into the tunnel after the rest of our team. Do you have any particular justification for this egregious breach of protocol? Yeah. I'd prefer to keep it to myself, though. I'll put your preference down on record, but I doubt that will be sufficient enough for anyone reviewing your behavior post-mission. Listen, I'm ex-hand. I wasn't particularly knowledgeable about the Wander's library when I was active, but I knew some stuff. The Foundation is currently barred from accessing the library, which is pretty standard procedure for undesirable groups. That spider thing that carried off Charlie and the rest is worse than the Foundation, as far as the library is concerned. Can you give me a simple reason for this protocol breach? Right, sure. That thing is attempting to break back into the library, and I need to stop it. Put it under protection of non-combatants. Noted. All right, kid. You ever fucked with magic before?
Can you walk?
Give me a hand and we'll see. says the suddenly one-handed Morgan. No. P7 Rainer assists S3 Morgan in standing. Command, right, adrenaline's coming down. P7 Rainer begins to support S3 Morgan as they walk down the tunnel. There's a fork up ahead. I saw the spiders take the rest of the team to the right.
Understood. Are you feeling any better?
I am.
Just if it gets painful, think about the opposite of the pain.
The opposite?
It helps more than just thinking about the pain being gone. Think of it more like pain's inverse, I guess. That doesn't make any sense. I'm sorry.
Did you receive that scar during the fight?
Oh, the one on my arm?
Yeah, I saw it before you manifested the light to kill the thing attacking me.
No, I got this before.
I think I can fix that with my thaumaturgy. I could have fixed it. I guess being a type blue with one arm is going to be difficult.
What's it like being a magician?
Great at first. You feel like you're on top of the world. Then someone finds out. You ask them to keep it quiet, but of course they don't. You go to the library because where else can you go?
Was it lonely in the library?
Alone and without a book to read? Yes, it's dreadful. You can see others around you, imbibing a universe of knowledge, being happy and free among the shelves, but you're trapped with your own self-doubt. It's like coming out as non-binary all over. Hold on. Both stay still as they observe the fork in the tunnel. Two entities are present to their right turn. One appears to be a floating, tattered cloak, obscuring the wearer from view. The other's form is unobservable, due to several localized reality distortions surrounding it, but appears to be somewhat humanoid. The two entities are engaging in hostilities with one another. We'll have to pass these two if we want to follow the team. I recognize the shroud from the library before it was banished. It has a particular distaste for the written word and seeks to absorb literature into the oblivion beneath its fabric.
And the other?
I can't be certain. I've read about it in the library, but, well, I haven't entered the library for a long time. I believe it's an entity that rewrites reality. Both presented a high-level threat to the knowledge contained by the library and were subsequently sent here.
Any advice on combat?
Physical force won't be particularly effective. I recommend letting me use my thaumaturgy, but I'll be a bit slower with my blue spells than usual. We either have... What are those things on your suit?
Strips of duct tape. I manifested them so the runes that we saw on the upper floors were inscribed into them.
Uh,
Is that bad?
it's invented. Our goal should be to pass them without being noticed. Unfortunately, that means waiting until they start to fight. Command, how soon until that second team reaches the building? Approximately 5 minutes. Understood. You ready, Raynor?
I am.
The two observe as the entities circle each other until the shrouded figure reaches to open its robe. Several isolated spatial distortions from around the shrouded figure, form around the shrouded figure, but are abruptly nullified when it removes the front section of cloth. The second entity reacts aggressively to this, appearing to phase from the visible light spectrum before several thaumaturgical symbols are observed on the fabric of the cloaked figure. The symbols glow red, and the shrouded figure acts agitated and removes the robe entirely, discarding it. The discarded shroud is surrounded in an explosion, destroying a section of the wall close to S3 Morgan and P7 Raynor. Alright, sprint as quickly as you can. P7 Raynor assists S3 Morgan as they run through the tunnel. As they pass the entities, both take notice of them but appear unwilling to pursue. P7 Raynor and S3 Morgan run for 3 more seconds before a shriek is heard, presumably emanating from the previously cloaked figure. The shroud is about to absorb us.
It's about to what?
A loud sound echoes through the tunnel as an unseen force is seen pulling S3 Morgan and P7 Raynor towards the two entities as S3 Morgan attempts to use their thaumaturgical ability to cancel the effect. Both are pulled backward along the tunnel floor, and the previously cloaked entity is observed. It appears to be a mass of corporeal black tendrils.
Morgan, what the fuck do we do?
Hold on to my arm if you can.
Shit.
S3 Morgan is unable to resist the unseen force due to their previously sustained injuries, and is pulled rapidly towards the entity. P7 Raynor reacts by letting go of his hold on the brick floor and manifesting a portal while in midair. The manifested object is inconsistent in form, but appears to be a series of white tendrils, shifting in and out of the visible spectrum. The manifested object approaches the entity at a faster rate than either S3 Morgan or P7 Raynor, and upon making contact with the entity, disappears. The hostile entity, likewise, cannot be located. S3 Morgan falls to the ground, otherwise unharmed. Both are silent for several seconds. Kid, what the hell was that?
I panicked. I saw it was about to get you, and I thought about how much I didn't want it to be there. And shit, look out!
Several localized spatial distortions appear around P7 Raynor's body, resulting in loss of audio and video connection to Site Command. S3 Morgan's video is likewise affected, but audio indicates that S3 Morgan dispelled the remaining entity after a few seconds. Connection has been reestablished. I read you, Command. Kid, you alright? P7 Raynor vocalizes extreme distress and sounds as though he is holding back tears.
Killed a guy, Morgan?
It wasn't human. It was an aberration whose existence was dedicated to the destruction of knowledge.
I manifested... oh god. I manifested the exact opposite of it in space and matter. It must have canceled out the real thing and how they just don't exist.
Command, I've changed my mind and I'm aborting the mission. Knowing Charlie, he's already managed to kill the arachnid. Denied, Morgan. What? Dr. Edwards is currently viewing the video of this exploration and has made it very clear that the operation should continue. P7 Raynor visibly flinches at the mention of Dr. Edwards. And I'm supposed to listen to some researcher sitting safe and sound at Site 17? Dr. Edwards is the current director for the SCP-4051 project and has been given authority over this operation by Site Director Graham. S3 Morgan silently deliberates for several seconds before turning to P7 Raynor. Can you stand?
Yes.
We're continuing the mission. We shouldn't be too far from the rest of the team. Stay behind me.
Understood.
The two continue down the tunnel in silence. After 4 minutes of walking, both audio devices detect sounds of a struggle echoing from further down the tunnel. Kid, you, alright?
I'm fine. Are you?
Yes. How did you get that scar on your arm?
I don't want to say.
Why's that?
Just don't.
There is silence for 1 minute.
I messed it up in a containment breach. They sometimes let me out to help around a site, and an anomaly got out during one of my sessions. Big thing. Lots of claws. Scratched my arm before the guards took it out.
All right. Sorry you had to go through that.
Me too.
Several tremors shake the section of tunnel. We should hurry. S3 Morgan and P7 Raynor sprint down the tunnel. As they do, the walls of the tunnel begin to undergo spatial manipulation, elongating and contracting repeatedly.
We have company.
Get behind me. The spatial manipulation intensifies in a particular area of the floor as the head of a large anomalous entity emerges from the brick. The entity appears to be humanoid and continues to rise until its form occupies the entirety of the tunnel. Its body is roughly 20 meters in height, requiring the walls and the ceiling to warp around it. Its skin appears to be pure white, with several unknown runes and designs marked in black substance along its forearms and chest.
100 chains bind me, 100 more before me.
Your path is so far removed. Must you tarry long?
I have come as a preventer of misfortune. The one behind you is shadowed in a doubt, a thing I have known well. A granter of wishes I was, in another life, a slave to others by nature, all come undone when one spoke the fell words, I wish for the destruction of the Wanderer's library. In this purgation, I sensed a kindred soul.
Your purgation is not yet complete. Your power is still beyond you. You may not prevent our passing.
See no comparison between you and I.
Raynor, be quiet.
A free man you see yourself. You who are entangled in bindings, both physical and mental.
I who am.
Morgan's speech is unintelligible due to low volume. Multiple thaumaturgical symbols manifest around P7 Raynor's head, silencing him. The entity's eyes glow as it leans towards P7 Raynor, appearing to manipulate the runes with its fingers. The runes glow and dissipate before reappearing around S3 Morgan, effectively paralyzing them.
I who am free know my own nature.
You are crippled by doubt. Your mind is a boiling sea of indecision.
And I am free to make it thus.
You are wrong. A foreign binding compels your hand.
The entity begins to reach for P7 Raynor, but is repelled when P7 Raynor manifests fire. It retracts its hand and returns to a standing position, the black runes on its skin beginning to glow red.
In my eternal perdition, I seek redemption for a crime not my own. I cannot allow a kindred spirit to suffer as I have.
Reality begins to distort around P7 Raynor's location, and video connection is lost. S3 Morgan is released from their magically induced paralysis and immediately fires at the entity, who has begun to destabilize. The entity is unaffected and disperses its physical form into the localized reality distortion surrounding P7 Raynor. P7 Raynor vocalizes acute distress and pain.
I, unintelligible. Slave, unintelligible. Need them. I can't, unintelligible.
The distorted space appears to fluctuate, and S3 Morgan retreats to a safe distance.
I will not be your slave as well, unintelligible.
Command, I need advice here. Working on it. Several tremors shake the tunnel, and P7 Raynor vocalizes extreme pain. The fluctuations of the distortions increase, and the walls of the tunnel begin to undergo rapid contraction and expansion. I need an answer now! A circle of unidentifiable runes surrounds the floor around P7 Raynor, appearing to glow and emit sparks of white lightning, which strike the distorted space from all sides. Sections of the walls close to P7 Raynor disintegrate, causing unknown damage to the tunnel's structural integrity. Initiating emergency activation of P7 Raynor's Type S slow burn amnestic in 3, 2, 1. How the hell did they do that, I wonder, says Sherman. At this time, all anomalous phenomena surrounding P7 Raynor cease, and P7 Raynor falls to the ground unconscious. How long will he be like this? Acclimation takes roughly... Abruptly, P7 Raynor regains consciousness and immediately stands, apparently only moderately impeded by residual effects of the amnestic, and begins to sprint down the tunnel. Raynor, wait! S3 Morgan is unable to match P7 Raynor's pace and soon falls behind.
Get out of my head, get out of my head, get out of my head!
P7 Raynor manifests an object, and all brick walls within a 30-meter radius of him abruptly disintegrate. A path is revealed, and a large arachnid creature is seen at the end before disappearing from view.
I've got you now.
P7 Raynor's pace increases until he enters a large chamber at the end of the path. The chamber is composed entirely of brick and is several stories tall. Inside the chamber, P7 Rico, P7 Trevor, and P7 Charlie are seen engaging the arachnid creature. On the floor, an elaborate design of red liquid has been created, with the body of P7 Jayla in the center. Letters of various known and unknown languages manifest from the border of the design. Raynor, what the fuck happened to you? P7 Raynor screams as the massive humanoid entity reforms above the group, standing suspended in the chamber. Its eyes begin to glow as it looks down on all of them.
Take this!
End log. Stop, I'm gonna take a sip of water and digest that for a hot second.
Yeah, that was the actual exploration of the exploration log supplement, and now we transition into a therapy session transcript like we saw before.
All right, time for some debrief. Transcript of therapy session 4051-59. Forward. SCP-4051 is remaining within its containment unit, while Dr. Yesenia communicates with it via the unit's audio surveillance system. Begin log. Raynor, can you hear me?
Oh, Dr. Yesenia, how are you?
I'm doing well. How about you?
I'm doing great. I just got back from a mission.
Oh, tell me about it.
I helped a lot of people. I fought a spider, I saved Jayla and Trevor and Rico, and I found out more about my anomaly.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, I can get rid of things by making their opposites. Walls, enemies, monsters. Maybe when I'm doing maintenance, I can clean out.
Raynor, your maintenance sessions have been indefinitely canceled.
They've what?
We can no longer allow you to exit your containment unit due to the threat you now present to the Foundation at large and the world. SCP-4051 is silent for several seconds before standing and beginning to pace the room, nodding repeatedly.
That makes sense. It makes sense. I'm sorry.
You don't need to be sorry for anything.
Can I still help you?
You help us just by being here, Raynor.
I do?
Yes, you do. But more importantly, you need us.
Oh, I know that. I need you. I know that. Thank you for caring for me.
You're welcome, Raynor. Goodbye for now.
Goodbye, Dr. Yesenia.
SCP-4051 sits in the corner of its room and smiles, and remains there. End log. And we have footnotes, but below the footnotes, and I can't show it because the footnotes are... Let me move this screen up. What? Is that a post-credit sequence? Let's find out.
I guess that would be the equivalent. Yeah, it's an email exchange.
Access SkipNet email. 1 new message. 2. Researcher David Edwards. From Site Director Thomas Graham. Subject: Cleanup. Edwards.
And if you don't mind, I'd like to read Graham's words right here.
Hit it.
Yeah. Edwards, what follows is the unofficial report on the incident involving SCP-4051, the anomalous object placed under your care by Ethics Committee Liaison Jeremiah Sumerian. On the 18th of July, 2013, at 1500 hours, a joint mobile task force, composed primarily of members of MTF Psi-7 Home Improvement, but also SCP-4051 and a single member of MTF Sigma-3 Bibliographers, entered an anomalous location in Chicago, Illinois. During the exploration, the team unintentionally entered an extra-dimensional space located beneath the Wanderer's Library. All members of the team, except for SCP-4051, who entered voluntarily, were forced into the portal. While a secondary retrieval team was being prepped, SCP-4051's slow burn amnestic was activated prematurely in an attempt to expel a hostile entity from its mind. Doing this resulted in a near complete collapse of SCP-4051's mental stability, and it revealed that it could manifest the inverse of any given object that it could adequately picture, giving its ability to destroy any matter it can comprehend. It utilized this ability to destroy a large section of the extra-dimensional space, neutralizing the hostile or arachnid entity as well as the humanoid entity which had entered its mind. The secondary retrieval team reported a massive crater, roughly 100 meters in diameter, with SCP-4051 in the center. SCP-4051 did not resist being incapacitated. Below are the official statuses of all operatives involved in the initial exploration effort. Team Leader P7 Charlie, alive, currently deployed at another location. P7 Trevor, hospitalized, expecting recovery in 2 weeks. P7 Rico, hospitalized, expecting recovery in 1 week. P7 Jayla, killed in action. S3 Morgan, hospitalized, expected recovery in 3 weeks. SCP-4051, contained. This incident has resulted in the immediate reclassification of SCP-4051 to Keter, and its current containment cell is being outfitted with preventative measures should it attempt to breach containment. The special containment procedures need to be updated, as well as all relevant staff briefed on the new situation we're facing. Naturally, the official report of this incident will read differently. In terms of the repercussions of this, I am expecting an immediate review of all procedures and projects relating to SCP-4051 by an ethics committee no longer willing to turn a blind eye for the greater good. I'm sorry, Edwards, but I can no longer protect you. I'm sorry about what SCP-4051 did to your brother. Dr. Roswell was one of the finest researchers we had on site. I know we've all grieved and found different methods of doing that, yourself included. Have a good life, Edwards. New message.
2. Site Director Thomas Graham. From Researcher David Edwards. Subject, Cleanup. Graham. Rotten hell, you piece of shit.
And thus ends Beast Beneath the Library. There we go.
Boom! Wowza.
Yeah.
All right.
You got something to say, Sherm? Yeah.
Let me put this down so I can see the chat. Hello, chat. Welcome back. Whew, all right. Let's think about this story for a hot second.
It was very different than the sort of the setting and the pacing of the actual 4051 file, wasn't it?
Oh, definitely. I'm in my brain. I'm comparing it to a lot of the work in is it Limited Memories, the AIAD story series we did?
Yes.
And so I have one critique out of everything, and that is just that there is one conversation during the exploration that I felt while it was happening might have been better placed in the debrief, just because they're pursuing people who have been captured, and it seems like they're talking a little too casually for that situation. But that's just me, and I'm also countering it with action movies, where you have conversations while running down a hallway after your people, but coming to a full stop. But also we removed her arm, so we have to wait for her to get up. And so I'm torn on that aspect. That's the one quasi critique I have.
Which is the conversation that you mentioned?
It is specifically, let me scroll back up. So where is the spider? I'm going to try and do this while still being able to be heard by the microphone. Charlie Morgan, Rico kidnapped, Trevor, faraway place yet so close, the child's gotcha, digging down, terminated, flashbang. Okay, here we go. So we have removing the arm, manifest painkillers, rescue team, going into the tunnel. Go ahead while I'm skimming. Do you have something down?
Oh, no. I got you there. That does... the 4051 article itself did go, like I said in the previous episode, under a fair amount of revisions post being posted to the site. That made it a lot shorter and more concise, I would say is the word, more so than even it is now. And to a more minor extent, so did this article as well. A lot of the stuff, like what you're mentioning, was cut, extraneous lines of dialogue, especially stuff in the like the transcript describing actions and stuff. I had to do a lot to make it more comprehensible what was going on. Essentially, was one of the initial critiques that I received on that. So yeah, no, it doesn't surprise me that readers would think that some of the stuff that's happening is a little bit extraneous.
This is the section that I might if I considered anything extraneous, it would be this section. Essentially, from the conversation about the scar into the scar conversation, the magician, the library, or maybe the magician was above that. It was the scar conversation that essentially by that point I thought, okay, this might be something we talk about like in a recovery ward with Morgan after action, except we're not letting 4051 out, so that doesn't make sense either. By the way, you said there's more to this, right?
Oh, excuse me?
You said there was like another story coming after this, or is this the draft that you don't want to promise yet?
Yeah, Rayner's story has continued sort of on the wiki. He technically qualifies for a tag at this point, honestly, but I don't want to do that until he has a sort of like an arc. But the story that I've mentioned in previous episodes is just in a draft, and because of that, I don't want to build up hype for it. Essentially, I don't know. But yes, Rayner's story does majorly sort of continue. Morgan is present in a more minor way in it. But yes.
So what I'm looking at here is, I mean, besides that, like one little critique about possibly extraneous conversation being moved to an after hours sect, everything, the action stuff is great. Like I would compare it to the AIED stuff. I had especially, again, I love the creative use of Rayner's powers. Antimatter's tripping me out a little bit. Antimatter deleting things from existence by thinking of their opposites. I think it's a little bit stretched, but we're going like Scarlet Witch levels as well. And now we have a Keter entity, and it's like, it's traumatized, and so it's being good. And like future stories, like this could be it's locked up and it stays, and Rayner stays sad, and that's the end of the story. And I hope that's not the end of the story because, ugh. Yeah,
Rayner gets a happy ending. Not to spoil stuff, but you know.
Well, I'm happy to hear that because I am now emotionally invested in the child.
Oh, that's good though. That's good.
Yeah, Rayner's nice and helpful and a little dumb, but also a little clever, and thinks of good ideas and gets out of scrapes and gets into worse scrapes and has bad ideas that sometimes pay off heroically, as they should. So while I continue to scan on this, how about you give us your post on this story?
Well, I should mention there are a couple cross links that I'm sure you saw. In the actual transcript itself was linking to the Wanderer's Library Serpent's Hand Hub. And then in Graham's email, there are two cross links. One of them to a tale called Recruitment Drive, and then another one to another SCP called SCP-4415. Sorry, I don't know why that was so hard for me to say. These are sort of minor continuations of Rayner's story. Just if you want to go check those out. He has some appearance in the Resurrection canon for a contest that me and a couple others did. Shout out to Red, Kelly Rebold, and then Grigori Karpin. I don't know if you guys are watching right now. But I'm not sure if I was being too obvious right here, but did you pick up the inspiration from what happened to Site 13?
Not even a little. I am
Really?
shocked to hear you say that. But what did I miss?
Okay.
Tell me about it.
Okay, so here's the Nagiros lore for you. I'd known about SCP for a couple of years, totally forgotten about it, and then I got into the Confinement animated series, and Lord Bung put out a video, and in one of those videos was featured 1730, written by DJ Cactus. It's about a big underground Foundation facility that just like appears in the desert one day. And it's heavily focused on exploration logs and action and character dialogue and stuff. It's probably where Samsara is best known from. But that article had a big effect on me because it inspired me to actually join the wiki and start writing and stuff very directly. And I feel like very unintentionally, I carried over a lot of the inspiration into this article. Like, there's stuff about people being stuck in walls, like entities that can just like merge you with other materials. That was in 1730, as well as the very sort of actiony MTF feel. Just a lot of the stuff like that. Some of my later stuff, like 4260, the death thing that I think we talked about when we were reading APAS. It's very unintentionally evocative of the big multi-armed monster from 1730. And I have to stress this was in no way intentional. I wasn't trying to ape on Cactus. It was just that article left a very big impression on me because it filled me with a lot of imagery that I think I carried over here. So if you want to read something that's similar to this but also better than this, go read 1730 if you haven't already for some reason.
That is, now that you explain it like that, I completely see what you mean. That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
And by the way, just a shout out, you mentioned Lord Bung in Confinement. One of the better SCP YouTube channels, just because I love the animation and the original story he's telling. It's very rare that off-site creators are doing their own original story. And so if you're not familiar with Lord Bung, go check him out. He's actually helped us out with voices here on the channel. Published, you can hear him in SCP-2864, titled De Multe Voci, which had 11 different characters, and I managed to get a different SCP YouTuber for every single one of them. There are 11 guest voices.
I know the Scantron article that you're talking about. That's the one where the I don't know, it has some sort of anomalous effect where you can't talk about it directly, so it's like composed of a bunch of researchers like taking notes on the object in like a forum post format. Yeah.
Exactly. And then Bung also voiced for us, but we haven't finished it yet. He is in our version of What Happened to Site 13. And
is that happening? Wait, that's big.
It is on a very large hiatus. I think in my initial push, I got 20 out of 25 voices for it. And so we compiled a lot of the lines. I just haven't done mine. Nor do we have like a couple cats who didn't get herded properly. But Jesus, Charles has the audio that we have. And in side projects, when we're not working on the basic channel videos, he is assembling those so that we could possibly do it eventually one day.
Well, I'm excited for that. I obviously loved 1730, and what's that got, like 30 characters or something? That's incredible. I remember.
Oh man, I have a Google Doc for it.
Oh Jesus!
It was an insane day. It was an insane day. The hardest part of the whole process was really going through the article with Control F and separating everyone's lines so I could just send them to the actors and be like, here's your lines, record these, I'll assemble them later.
God, yeah, that sounds monstrous. It's such a long article, and God, it's so good though. I hope that happens. I know you said it's on hiatus, and I don't want to apply pressure or whatever, but God, that'd be so cool.
Maybe when the channel gets bigger and I can quit my day job, I'll have more time to fiddle with it. In the meantime, let's get back on topic for your story. Are there any Easter eggs that we may have missed things from other SCPs that were
Well-
not just like crosslinks?
That's actually a fair question. This was the first SCP and I guess supplement. I think this is tagged as supplement that I ever posted to the site. So it doesn't have much in the way of referencing other SCPs that I would later build on. Besides Rainer himself, the whole lore about the Wanderer's Library having like a dungeon basement, that's new. The slow burn amnestic stuff that you kind of laughed at and then were confused by later, that's new as well.
So how did they activate it? How did they do that?
So it's intentionally not explained in this one, but it functions similar to, if you remember in APAS, Skylar was given what was called like a remote class R, like a remote repression amnestic or something. That's like a microchip that they stick on your spinal cord, and then they can choose to flip it on and off. It's sort of like that essentially. It's an active chemical that will go off in a set period of time, but they do have some sort of like physical device that's there that they can prod it with essentially.
I imagined as soon as I was asking the question, I also started trying to problem solve it. And in my head, there was like a gel cap that we know will dissolve in a certain type, depending on dietary stuff like that. But then there was also something inside an electrotransmitter that you could like poof it if you needed to.
Yeah, something like that.
Something like that.
But I've talked about my inspirations for this article, and I think I listed them in the little info pane right here. Yeah. Some of the stuff that I was really inspired by, I put in if you go to the article and you click on the little I next to the rating module, it pulls up some author's notes that I have. And I've listed out 5 articles that I was really inspired by when writing this. But I feel like I'd be remiss if I didn't also discuss the sort of larger sort of shadow hanging over this article. I don't really know how to transition into this really smoothly, but this article came from a very personal spot. Most of my stuff does. I see other authors talking about how they just like come up with funny ideas and then sort of write like micro articles, and I don't really know how to do that. That's not a skill that I really have. I write in places of emotion and stuff, and I hope that comes through. It's been a common accusation by a lot of people that Rainer is like a self-insert of me. And first of all, that's not true. I'm not a dude. First of all, secondly, if he were a self-insert, why would I make myself miserable like that? But you know what I'm saying. But that doesn't discount the fact that the emotions that went into this were excessively personal. And I felt like I couldn't really talk about this in the last stream because we didn't have the context of this article. But yeah, that's essentially it. The idea of being in a space that has corroded you for so long that you finally begin to think that the people who are hurting you are actually doing you a favor, and you need them, and you're thankful that they've cared for you. That's fucking like intrinsically some shit that I was dealing with 2 years ago when I wrote this. And I hope that sort of headspace was accurately constructed in this article and sort of communicated, and people can sort of relate to that when they read it.
Because I can't personally relate to it, I realize that your content warning actually primed me to understand it. I can see a world where we get to the end of that article and I don't read it at all as institutional gaslighting. I just see it as a like blank conversation. But because you gave me the content warning, because I was primed for it, I was like, oh, I see that. And I felt my heart dropping during the last conversation.
Yeah. It's heavy shit. And the therapy transcript, the email exchange, that's mostly just filler to wrap up the plot. You know, nobody cares about that. But that you need us. That line is key to the whole article, I think. And I don't want to sound pretentious. It's just some fan fiction of the poopy statue monster, but like, that's the article, that line right there. Yeah.
First of all, I 100% am with you. I don't understand how Tanhoney and all of them just crank out articles at like a breakneck pace, because I can only write,
and it's all good. Like Tanhoney's been writing great shit recently. Like
it's
God,
all good, like structurally well made, and I can only write if I have some emotional investment in the topic. Otherwise, I can't focus enough.
I came up with a hilarious concept last night, and I will.
Yeah, it's like I don't know. There are very different authors on the SCP wiki, not just in terms of genre, but in terms of methodology and stuff like that. But that's sort of been a big divide that I've sort of seen. People who just sort of come up with cool ideas, they want to write them, and people who are more like me, who have an emotional space that they want to construct and then invite the reader in. Not saying that you can't; those are two mutually exclusive groups. You can have one of both, and honestly, that just sounds like the quintessentially best writer, one who's able to sort of flip between the two. God, I wish, but
Everyone exists on the spectrum. One way the emotional writer, one way the technical writer. Somewhere in that line, we all sit. And of course, since we mentioned Tanhoney, since we mentioned that this is a poopy statue fanfic site, opinions on the controversy of the weeks, grade 1 to 10, Among Us SCP.
Okay, so I'm gonna blame Prometheus right here. Prometheus is an author on the wiki, and she quote tweeted the YouTuber who made that tweet. The YouTuber who was like, "Oh, they turned Among Us into an SCP. How could that happen?" And I don't know. It was like a Twitter shitstorm kind of. I've read the article. Like, the controversy was the thing that made me read the article. I wasn't gonna do it otherwise. And it's like, it's fine. I no voted on it. It's like I don't feel like the motivations of the godlike entity are very cleanly established, such that it leaves a lot of room for interpretation, but not in like a good way. But like, God, it's just an Among Us SCP. Like, it's serviceable as is. Like, there's nothing wrong with it.
Yeah, to me, what I found was, like you said, I don't see exactly why the god is doing exactly what it's doing and how. And I'm curious as to that, because I want it to fit thematically, because like his dialogue is aces. Reading that for the channel yesterday, and like
you recorded it.
Yeah, that was one of the 3 we did yesterday. We did Among Us, and reading that voice and those lines, they're like just so sad and poignant. And
God, no, I agree. It hurts. I wish it hurts in a way that I could understand a bit more.
And of course, this is what happens when you piss off the SCP authorship. I read this while I was looking for SCPs to read, and I was like, this is just okay. I'm not interested. No vote. I'm just going to leave. And then the controversy starts, so I'm like, okay, let me read this rather than just skim it. No, it's fine. You're all assholes.
It's totally good. Tanhoney is a good author, and this isn't an exception.
This is Sherman taking the controversy fist right on the chin. Don't diss an article you haven't actually read. Because everyone who said they made the imposter an SCP is wrong. You're just provably wrong. That is my sad statement for the night. And we're waiting for Nagi to reappear.
Excuse me?
You blinked out of existence. It might have been my Wi-Fi. It was acting up.
It's probably mine. My Wi-Fi is really so. Yeah, no. It's sort of funny because I had stuff with one of my other articles. I don't know if you remember this, but like a while back, I think Pride Month in 2019, I requested that you read one of and it's
all right, Nagi, hold on.
Provably inaccurate shit about that
Hold
article.
on for a second. So we lost audio for that sentence. Can you go back a sentence?
Oh, which one?
Back in Pride Month 2019, you asked me to read, and then it started glitching.
Yeah, that's again probably wrong on my end. So back in Pride Month of 2019, I like DM'd you and I was like, hey, can you read one of my articles that features a trans character for Pride Month? And then you were like, hey, schedule's really busy right now. Sorry, I can't really do that. I was like, oh, okay, that's fine. But like since then, it got featured on the front page and like became sort of like unexpectedly popular, and people just said wildly like inaccurate stuff just about it, like about what's in it and the plot and stuff, and it's just. I don't know. I guess the lesson to take away from that is if you hear someone saying something negative about like an SCP or like an SCP article, or like how the standards of the wiki have like gone down so far and there's no more quality control, and it's just take the time to read the stuff. I guarantee you're going to enjoy it. We have fantastic authors, and that goes for Among Us. That goes for pretty much every article that's been written, that's been put under sort of an unfair spotlight by people trying to push a narrative.
A lot. It is almost universal that the people who harp about the downfall of the SCP wiki and the quality dropping are mainly people who don't read the wiki very often anyways, don't read with a critical eye, and just want the like series 1, here's my spoopy monster manual page.
Mm-hmm. And I mean, series 1 is actually, I'm gonna plagiarize TSAT here. He's one of the tech mods. He's fantastic.
Satpout Kataduck.
Excuse me?
Satpout Kataduck. That's how I pronounce his name.
Is that? I'm not going to pronounce the whole name, but he had a thing on Reddit where someone was complaining on another subreddit about the downfall of the SCP wiki and how there's no more. It's all like long-winded, like super dramatic and melodrama articles, and then basically the point that he raised was, yeah, there's more of that than in series 1, but there's also just a lot more writing in general. Like people are writing microfiction and generally stuff that series 1 fans would enjoy. It's just in order to find that, because there's such a large quantity of writing now, you got to use stuff like the tag search and recommendations and stuff like that. I think that's really what it comes down to, because there have been a lot of fantastic like short form articles that have been posted recently, and it I don't want to sound sappy, but it gives me hope. It makes me happy to be here. Happy to be in this community.
And I'll say this for my viewers and anybody who wants to talk about the quality of SCPs. I will never disparage your opinion if you don't like something. If you don't like something, your opinion's great. That's cool. If you don't like that it has certain subject matter because you don't like that subject matter, that's fine as a preference. It's when you say, this is objectively bad because I don't like it, that we're going to go to war. Because art has qualities to people who aren't you, and someone else might think that is the best art.
Mm.
So we all got to keep this in mind, because this is an arts community. And on the subject of the evolving, the renaissance of the wiki, this is how all art evolves. You start with silent movies, and then you move up to movies, then you have blockbusters, then you have musicals, and you have all sorts of different art evolves. And so does the wiki, just a lot faster, because we're all constantly doing it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that does make sense. And I don't know, I can't help but feel like the diversification of what sorts of stories and stuff on the wiki is actually just like a good thing, probably. Like I feel like the site is better than it was back in 2008.
If the site just wrote the same thing again and again and again, then it would not grow. Because you can't just write one thing repeatedly. You have to branch out. You have to expand. We have to add 17 different groups of interests and anomalies that are happy or sad or romantic.
We actually have like a drought of romance articles. We had CupidCon recently, and that's been really the only time besides like I don't know. I haven't read whatever the Draven Kondraki tale is yet, but that's like been the big only like one that significantly dealt with romance. That's a niche that needs to be filled. Anyone that's listening here, if you're good with romance writing, join the SP Wiki. We need you.
This is my recommendation for the night. My Sherman's recommendation for go read an article after we're done here, or listen to it because I actually have a reading of it. I need to look it up right now because I can't remember the number. We're going to do this again. But it is an SCP that is very soap opera-like in the beginning. Because what happens is there's a couple, and this couple, they are researchers at the Foundation, and their relationship is the anomaly. In that greater and stranger situations like a soap opera keep popping up to try and break them up. Someone's twin brother will come out of nowhere and try and stop their wedding. They'll hold the woman hostage until the husband breaks up with her. And it finally ends with them both in containment willingly as the Foundation tries to figure out what the hell's going on. And I won't spoil the ending, but it is not happy.
Oh, no.
And so it's sweet and it's good, and then it doesn't end well, and it gives you feelings. And what is it? SCP couple SCP couple. It's in the 3000s, I believe. Anomalous couple.
Maybe someone in chat has it.
I would love for you to check the chat while I am peeking here.
Yeah, nothing in chat, sorry.
Darn, I want to give you this recommendation before we sign off.
You can post it on the server or something afterwards.
I will tweet it at you guys. I will tweet my recommendation. That means you should follow me on Twitter.
Please, post it everywhere.
All right. Is there anything we didn't cover before we sign off, Nagi?
Yes. Speaking of wonderful authors who make me feel just happy to be included in this community and are just generally fantastic people that I love being around, I'd like to transition into my recommended articles that we usually do.
Perfect.
Yes. First one, recent article by Lieutenant Flops. She's been a longtime friend, I think. And she just wrote this fantastic sort of format screw-esque article. It's very emotionally evocative. I've shouted out her stuff before with the Scattersomnia article in a previous episode, and it's the same sort of just generally fantastic stuff. I'll post a link in the chat now. The number is 5810, of guilt, fear, and the hollowness of the heart. And it's good. It's very new. Got to get on that. And there we go. Posted that done there. And the second thing I wanted to shout out, Ralston, frequenter of the Site 42 Discord, and he's got a lovely little narrative going on about thaumatologists and this sort of like custom group of interest, and it's fantastic. I asked him about this earlier, and he said the article that you should use to jump into it if you're looking to read this series, that again I can't recommend enough. It's 5795. That's the number. I'll also post that one in chat. It's called High Court, and it's good. It's actually, this ties in perfectly to the article that we were just reading because it's very actiony. It's very exploration log and action filled, and there's an MTF and everything. So if you enjoyed this reading, go read Ralston's article right now. So those are my two recommendations for the night.
And while Nagi was recommending, I remembered that I had a guest voice actress on the reading for my recommendation, and I was able to search her name and find it. So,
really?
The Power of Love, SCP-3080, 3080 is the one I'm recommending for the night, by author Canned Bread.
Sorry, which author?
Canned Bread.
Never heard of him, sorry.
Neither have I, but Can of Bread. Can't go wrong. And their article is hilarious and feels and all around happy. So you got 3 good recommendations to go for, everybody.
Gotcha. Thank you, Sherm.
Any last words for the audience, Nagi?
Nah, I gotcha. I'm still wearing my Miku skirt, but I don't know.
Skirt, hat,
thanks for having
armed
me
to the
on,
teeth
Sherm.
with good fashion choices.
Yes, absolutely. It's cold as shit here, but I don't know. Thanks for having me on, Sherm. It's been fantastic to read this little article with you, and I'm happy that you seem to have enjoyed it, and everyone in chat did as well. So have a nice night.
Cheers, Nagi. I'll put you on mute now. You're good and gone. Boom. And for you all in the audience left, thank you so much for watching the show. I hope you had fun. I hope you learned something about the SCP community and enjoyed the stories we read. Thanks to Nagi again for coming up and giving us some more insight. Remember that if you like the show, leave a like, comment, share the stream, subscribe, and if you really want to help us out, the Site42 merch store has new merch. We dropped merch this week, the Researcher's Disgusting shirt for 682. And I'm working on another shirt that'll come out in the next couple weeks, collaborating with Toad King from Foundation After Midnight Radio. So keep an eye on for that soon. And with that, be safe, be well, and I will see you all in the next video. Cue outro. I'm on a sugar crash. I ain't got no fucking cash. Maybe I should take a bath. Cut my fucking brain in half. I'm not lonely, just a bit. Tired of this fucking shit. Nothing that I write can make me feel good. You're in the chat saying, I knew it was going to be Sugar Crash, but I saw you say that, and this is your fault. Blah.